The Malerweg is a 112-kilometre long hiking trail in Saxon Switzerland that winds through the Elbe Sandstone Mountains. Also known as the Painter's Trail, the route has inspired countless artists and authors, such as Caspar David Friedrich and Hans Christian Andersen. The trail is traditionally walked in a series of day hikes, with walkers stopping over at the many guest houses en route. But we're not about that, are we? You join us in Berlin as we are about to catch a train 2.5 hours south to the city of Pirna.
Good morning. We are currently in Berlin, just outside of the airport. And we're now going to be catching a train down to, how do you say it? Pirna? Pirna. And we're going to start the Malerweg.
Oh yeah, this is me, Ollie, Adam and Tom, who fortunately are slightly more cultured than me and can actually speak German.
Alright, that's the start. That's
Los geht's.
That's Pirna train station. So we have about 3 miles, that's 5k or so, to the actual trailhead up north in Liebertal.
We crossed the Elbe River and wound our way out of Pirna, briefly stopping at the little bakery for supplies.
Right, that's the start of the trail. Time for lunch, I think.
Yeah.
After lunch, we followed the Wesenitz River for a few kilometres, passing the relics of old mills and hydropower schemes, before crossing a few fields and joining the valley that would lead us down into Stadtweilen.
Oh god! I ground it out!
We're under attack.
Right, so it's just coming on to 4:30 or so. We're about 20 minutes outside of Stadtweilen, where we have a campsite booked for the night. So we just made it into the outskirts of Stadtweilen. Standing on top of the name of this castle that I cannot pronounce or remember.
Thanks to my poor understanding of the German word Marktplatz, we soon found out there isn't actually a supermarket in Stadtweilen, so we had dinner at a local cafe before heading down along the Elbe to camp.
Yeah, so there's not much going on in Stadtweilen. We had to stop at a restaurant for food because there aren't any supermarkets here. Which very confusingly stopped serving food at 5:30, which seems really weird. But yeah, so we had curried sausage and chips and my pasta. Now we're just sort of walking along the bank of the Elbe. Yes. Yep, got the pronunciation right, it's good. Along to our campsite, which is another sort of K along here.
We finished our first day with 19 Ks in the bag and managed to get our tents up with seconds to spare before the thunderstorm hit.
Alright, it's the start of day 2. We've just left our campsite from the banks of the Elbe. Up here, Tom. Tom's already wandering off somewhere else. I think we've got quite a hilly day today. We're just going to try and get as far as we can and maybe end up just sleeping under a rocky outcrop or something. We'll see how it goes.
Day 2 started with a climb up to the Bastei Bridge. The viewpoint was closed, so here's a stock photo instead. We continued to weave our way through the mountains, passing through Rathwald and crossing the full-length river to reach Holstein.
The cold night takes us to a place to escape the chill. camp somewhere in the woods on a hill. Wake up feeling the cold in between our toes.
We're just outside of Hornstein. Yes, got the pronunciation. Not very good at German. You probably can't say, but there was a castle just up there. It's pretty cool. So we got pretzels and wieners for lunch.
We continued through the mountains, briefly stopping in Whitesdorf for water and ice cream.
So that was the delightful village of Whitesdorf, which appeared to just be a guest house / pub and about 3 other buildings.
That tends to happen.
Yeah, there's not much in the way of shopping around here.
We passed through the village of Kolmühl and followed the Sebnitz River for a k or so before climbing up to Altendorf with the hope of finding a shop to top up our rations.
So we're just in the village of Altendorf. The shop was closed again, so no food for us tonight.
It's Sunday tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's Sunday tomorrow, so it's definitely going to be closed. So we're going to have to live off our rations for the next day, maybe 2. Fun times. We're now just going to head down into the next valley. There's a campsite down there. So we should get there for about 7 PM. It's not too shabby.
We finished day 2 at the Ostrauer-Mühl campsite, having walked just shy of 30 k's. Fortunately, the campsite had a small shop where we were able to stock up on supplies.
So we've just started day 3. We're just currently doing the climb up out of Ostermühl, I think is how you say it, the campsite we stayed at last night. We've got a thunderstorm coming in later on this afternoon by the looks of the forecast, so we'll see how that goes.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And we all sit around the fire. We feel a little warmer now. And we all sit around the fire. We feel so much better now.
After a brief stop at Lichtenhainer Wasserfall, we gatecrashed an outdoor church service before dropping down into Neumannmühl.
Possibly, whoa, that's slippery. That is slippery. Watch out. Dive through that room.
So we just passed through the town / hamlet, wherever this is, Neumannmühle.
Fucking great museum too.
Tom absolutely loved this sawmill museum.
It's really good.
We finished day 3 slightly earlier, having walked just over 20 kilometres. We managed to find an elusive boofen spot on the side of a valley with a small stream nearby for an evening shower.
So this is the start of day 4. We've just left our very dusty cave camp. So the plan for today is reach the sort of the furthest point on the trail, also the highest point on the trail, and then we're going to drop down to a place called Schmilke, cross over the Elbe, the ferry, assuming it is still running. A couple of days ago it wasn't, so we'll see how that goes. And yeah, I don't really know after that.
We'll see where we end up.
We'll just see where we end up.
Yeah. bin ich geboren und laufe durch die Straßen. Kenn die Gesichter, jedes Haus und jeden Laden. Ich muss mal
So we made it to the top of this peak. I can't remember its name, but it's 550 meters or so. Sorry? Großwinterberg, apparently. So we're now basically going to do a sharp, steep descent down into Schmilka, where we'll probably have some lunch. We've just arrived into the small little village of Schmilka. So we're going to see if we can find somewhere for a bit of lunch.
In Schmilka, we ate whatever these things are, and then paid off the local geese with some stale bread, who then allowed us to catch the ferry across the Elbe.
So over there, that is the old Czechia border. Obviously you can just walk through it now, no one cares. But the border just runs sort of down the centre of this river, so we're not actually going to move into the Czech Republic, unfortunately. Oh, not Czech Republic, I don't want to upset them. Czechia. Czechia. So we're following along the bank of the Elbe for a little while, and then we're heading up there somewhere towards the village of Schona. So we finally found a shop that is actually open and is actually selling stuff. So got some Isis cola and a few things for dinner.
We passed through Reinhardsdorf, crossed a few fields, and then dropped down into the village of Krippen.
Ich lehne mich zurück und guck ins tiefe Blau. Schließ die Augen und lauf einfach geradeaus. Und am Ende der Straße steht ein Haus am See. Orangenbaumblätter liegen auf dem Weg. Ich hab 20 Kinder, meine Frau ist schön.
So we're back at the campsite, just outside of Altendorf. We got to Krippen. There wasn't really that much in the way of camping spots, were there, other than just in the corner of the field. So we decided just to catch the bus back here, and then we'll just head back to Krippen tomorrow morning to continue on the trail.
After a quick breakfast stop in Beischandau, we caught the bus back to Krippen to crack on with the trail.
So we've just started day 5. We're coming up the hill out of Krippen. We just caught the bus here from our campsite last night. We're going to try and do a big day today and make it most of the way to Piana so we can finish the trail off tomorrow morning.
We climbed up and over Papstein and Gorlichstein. We then passed through Pfaffendorf and then climbed up the particularly steep Pfaffenstein.
Und der Mond scheint hell auf mein Haus am See. Orangenbaumblätter liegen auf dem Weg. Ich hab 20 Kinder, meine Frau ist schön. Alle kommen vorbei, ich brauch nie rauszugehen.
We briefly dropped down into the town of Königstein before climbing up out of the town to Festung Königstein. We passed through Thurmsdorf, saw this squishy looking lamb, and then followed the Elbe down to Weissig. After passing through Weissig, we climbed up Raunstein, which was the final peak on the trail.
So it's just gone 6:30 and we're just now arriving into the village of Puchka, I think? Puchka. I think that's how you say it. We're going to head down to the river and then catch the ferry across to Stadvalen and stay on the campsite there. And then we should have a short day tomorrow, about 10k or so, back into Piana.
We finished day 5, having walked 31 kilometres and climbed just over 1,000 metres.
So this is the final morning. We just finished packing up our tents at this campsite just outside of Stadvalen. We're just going to sort of walk back to the ferry, catch that back across the Elbe, and then we'll finish off our walk this morning. Should be about 10k or so.
Schön. Da ist es sozusagen jetzt wieder finished.
That's the shit. There we go.
Suddenly everyone shows
Everybody is congregating at the end. Oh, there we go. The end of the Malerweg. There's so many people here.
Our final day saw us walk 13.2 kilometres to complete the trail. We indulged in some lunch from the local market before catching the train back to Dresden and later on to Berlin.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?